Yeah.
But he was Apprentice already.
Well, like, back, Baby Maul.
Baby Maul? I mean, we kind of saw...
You imagine giving birth
Mm.
to the spikes?
Yeah, are Zabrak born
Surely not.
with the spikes on their heads?
Also assuming they give birth normally. I don't know.
They hatch from eggs. Welcome to Galaxy Bound Podcast. We are a podcast that talks about all things Star Wars, new and old, or canon, or legends. Today we are going to talk about the Andor Season 1 behind-the-scenes video that came out earlier this week. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? Just has Tony Gilroy talking about Season 1 and some of the other cast members. And then they also had like a new trailer special look video that we'll talk about. Also talk about the BD droids are coming to the Mando movie. That's kind of exciting and maybe concerning as well. Star Wars Celebration schedules for each day of celebration. They keep releasing what's going to happen on each day.
Ooh, okay.
So that's going to be kind of interesting. We're just going to quickly go through that because, I mean...
Might change.
Well, it might change, but also, like, it'll be more interesting to talk about it when it actually happens.
Right.
Other than that, Star Wars Hunters is shutting down, so we'll talk about that a little bit because me and Spencer were big fans of that game. The Old Republic had an update this week that released. It's just a small update. Again, me and Spencer play that game, so we'll talk about that just a tiny bit. And then we're going to go into a Darth Vader versus Darth Maul versus discussion. Talk about our thoughts of what would happen if Darth Vader and Darth Maul fought against each other. Who comes out on top? And then we're going to play a game at the end, possibly. So, Andor, Season 1, behind-the-scenes special look video, whatever you want to call it. I guess we'll start with a special look trailer, because you guys have watched it. It's better than the actual trailer,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Showed a lot more, like, quick snips of the season.
Yeah.
Didn't spoil anything.
And different scenes. It wasn't just like repeat scenes.
Yeah. And then those commentaries from the actors and the directors, just really cool.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah. He's the writer, but yeah.
No, yeah, sorry.
I only say that because he made a point in the like behind the scenes video or whatever, saying that he originally came onto this project as the director, and he decided that he would fit a better role as the writer.
Okay.
Which was a good call.
Yeah.
But that's why I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, it had, I mean, the big controversy with the main trailer was the music choice, and it was more of a way to pull in people that maybe hadn't seen it or weren't fans of Season 1 or whatever, to like bring more people in from a general population sense. But this one definitely really caters to people who were fans of it, Star Wars fans, or just people that were already interested in it, but also not. Like, if you weren't, like, it was still a really good trailer. But it had, like, classic Star Wars music. It's probably music that's going to be in the actual show. And it just had a lot of that. It had that emotional side to it. Like, it gave me chills.
Yeah, this one pulled at, like, the heartstrings of the people that watched Season 1 that are in like the cliffhanging stage right now, that are like, what is going to happen?
Yeah.
And this one did a good job of like reeling those people in.
Yeah. And like you said, like having them like commentate over the top of it, just gives it a different vibe. Like most trailers don't do that. And
Yeah.
that's why this wasn't technically like a trailer.
Yeah.
But I think more trailers should do that. Like get them to talk about what they've created
Yeah.
and like acted in and stuff. Like it gives it more of a personal touch, I think.
And just like a connection between the viewer and the actor.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so cool.
So I have a question about this trailer. The very beginning of the trailer, the woman's voice and monologue that is talking, is that new dialogue from that will be from this season, or is that dialogue from something else?
I don't remember. Let's bring it up.
Emergency broadcast, if you can hear me.
We are not who we were when we started.
So just the one.
So she keeps talking.
Imperial ships are already landing.
We need to speak out. We need to stand up.
Is there no one who can help us?
We need a pilot. A soldier.
Everything I did,
I think that was the end of it. Is that from a previous show or anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. I thought maybe it was from I don't even know what show.
Rebels?
Yeah, is that the show that has, and I've only watched this show once, so I'm trying to remember people's names. Who is the main woman character that is going to be in this season?
From Rebels?
No.
Oh, Mon Mothma?
Yeah. But she was also in Rebels, right?
For an episode.
Yeah. I thought maybe it was from that episode.
Oh, like her like denouncing the Emperor and stuff?
Yeah.
No, it's not from that. It was from what she's saying. Like it sounds like
Is that her?
I don't think so.
Oh.
So they confirmed that the Gorman massacre is going to be in the show.
Yeah. So it's for sure from that.
It sounds like it's probably from that.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like something really bad is happening
Yeah.
and she's asking for help.
And that's just like someone from that. Because that didn't sound like Mon Mothma.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think she's ever going to be in a situation like that.
No.
Probably not.
I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah. I think it was just, it could have been just a random person. But like it's showing like something really bad is happening and she's asking for help as if no one's there to help her.
Yeah.
Which is a bleak way of starting a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But immediately grabbed my attention.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's my favorite shot of this whole trailer, where they come over that mountains and you see that city.
Yes. This one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That just looks so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. All of these shots honestly look so good. So this is an interesting shot. So they show a shot later in this trailer, I think, of it looked like what was Yavin 4 with the temple.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But this shot looks exactly like Dakar, which is the planet from The Force Awakens, where the Resistance is based. Which they say like it used to be an old rebel outpost. So it's cool that they're showing that.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it shows, I think these are Saw Gerrera's people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing him as well, because we know that he slowly becomes more and more unhinged.
Yeah.
And he eventually is supposed to lose his legs by the time we see him in Rogue One. But in this trailer, he still has his legs.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we're going to see something really bad happen to him to cause him to lose his legs. I forget what shot it's
And that
in,
probably
but-
causes him to just go full saw.
Full Saw.
Full saw.
Yeah. So
Before he was just blade. Now he's full saw.
he cuts his own off.
Yeah.
This is how I got my name.
His name is actually like Blade Guerrera, but Blade. So then he cuts his own legs off. He's like, I am Saw Guerrera now.
I think maybe it was Tony Gilroy that revealed that it was that we are going to see the Gorman Massacre, and they had to kind of treat it with reverence, but also like try to make it something new-ish, which I think is the best way to go about it, because like we saw it in Legends, but it was brutal.
Yeah.
Like I said in the last episode, like it involved Tarkin landing a Star Destroyer on top of people. Like I don't think we're gonna see that, maybe, but maybe we'll see
something just as bad.
Firing
and like
squads.
it's supposed to probably happen not just in that one setting, but like all over the planet. So maybe we'll hear of that happening somewhere else. But I listened to Star Wars Explained talk about they were just talking about the trailer in general, and they pointed out that there's a shot of Cassian with what looks like a sniper rifle in like...
Oh yeah, he's assembling it in this one.
Yeah. And so they were saying like it gives Lee Harvey Oswald vibes, which I thought was kind of
I think
funny.
it's towards the very end.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's when he's telling him like I'm thinking like a soldier. Well, you need to be thinking like a leader.
They were saying that maybe maybe Luthen sends him there to, like, it's already a riot, but like it's been like a peaceful riot, but like it's basically a powder keg ready to explode, and he's there to like make sure
light the fuse.
Yeah. So maybe he like takes out an officer or a stormtrooper or something, and then that just causes everything to go
for the Gorman Massacre.
That's what causes it, yeah. So it ends up being his fault.
Dang.
Because after that happens, then they're just gonna wipe out everybody.
Yeah.
Because they took the first shot.
Dang. That's less like Lee Harvey Oswald and more like who was the person who got assassinated that started World War I? It's like the Archduke of like some country.
The Netherlands, I think.
World War I.
It's definitely Archduke of something. Yeah.
Like Ferdinand something?
Yes.
Look at us.
Franz Ferdinand, maybe? Or is that a random
Yep. But where's he from?
Austria.
Ah. Oh, that makes sense.
Or, yeah, Austria.
Yeah, he was assassinated and it like launched
Everything.
Like I think a specific like massacre in that moment, but then that is when Germany and Austria like sided together.
Yep.
And
yeah.
But it was like this like powder keg just like building up of like all this stuff, and then he was assassinated.
And also like the Boston Massacre, like that's kind of how that happened too.
Yeah.
Because there was like a riot against the British soldiers, and then someone, I forget how exactly that happened, but yeah, something happened to where they're like the civilians shot first or did something first, and then
I don't think they shot, but they did something.
They did something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just it could be really interesting how that goes.
Yeah,
because
that gets me excited.
And I think we're gonna see stuff like
this or this episode.
Talking about the massacre thing.
Oh, okay.
Of like
talking about people dying.
I thought you were talking about this. Ah, man.
Franz Ferdinand, man.
I love my history.
World War I just gets me going. I mean, there are some World War buffs out there that
I mean,
they're
like
in that
World War
stage
II.
of their life. Anyway,
that stage in life. really gets me going.
Well, isn't there like a comedian bit about that? It's like dads, like the older they get, eventually they become like a history buff. They either get into like history or they get into, I forget what his other thing is. He's like, yeah, I'm at that stage in my life where I've got to choose which fork in the road I'm going down.
Yeah,
Either I become a Republican and turn into a history buff, or I can't remember what the other. I think it was Shane Gillis that talks about that.
Is it? I can't see him saying that, but it might be. But I know I've seen that clip. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah,
I'm excited for this season more than I thought I was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've shared that Andor hasn't really ever been my cup of tea.
Yeah,
but,
it didn't quite grab you.
But this seems like a very, very well done season 2 so far, and I'm excited to see how they connect the dots between this and
Rogue One. Yeah.
Which is one of my like top 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then going back to the like an hour long behind the scenes thing they did with Tony Gilroy and some of the cast, it was just I know you guys didn't watch it, but to just kind of recap a little bit, they kind of just went through some. They had a cast member on throughout. Like they had the woman that played Bix first, and the show she was talking about like her favorite scenes that she did, and just the experience of like doing it. And then they were like kind of hinted at some things that would like happen in season 2, but like they were very vague about some of that stuff. But they kept like going back and forth. Like Tony would say like, "Oh, this is my favorite Bix scene," and then this is my favorite, and then some insight of like behind the scenes stuff as well, which is really fun. And they had Genevieve O'Reilly, who plays Mon Mothma. They did the same thing with her. And the guy who plays, what's his name? Melshi. The guy that escapes with Cassian from the Narkina 5 prison, who he's also in Rogue One. He's been in the trailer, so we're gonna see him in season 2, but they had him on there as well, which is like a minor character, but also important for kind of Cassian's, like he's Cassian's friend, you know?
Yeah.
And he joins the rebellion with Cassian, so that's kind of fun to see him, because I love just hearing the perspective of like the smaller actors that are like, this is my big break, like this is huge to my career. And I just like, they don't exactly say this, but like I'm just pinching myself, like, because it doesn't seem real.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And all 3 of them kind of had that aspect, but you know, like Genevieve O'Reilly is a little more prestigious than the other 2, but the other 2 are like smaller actors. And so I just love, that's like the best thing about Star Wars, is just bringing in smaller actors and giving them a chance to shine. And Tony talks about that with the woman that plays Bix, I forget her name, like Audria or something like that, and how she was very like nervous and like more reserved when she first started like doing her parts. And then he just said that she just kind of grew as an actor throughout the whole filming of season 1. And he says that she's basically like a whole new actor in season 2, just because she's gained that confidence.
That's cool.
So that was really cool to hear about. So yeah, if you haven't watched it, I definitely recommend it. Just, I love hearing like behind the scenes stuff like that. So yeah, excited for season 2. It's coming up pretty soon.
April 22nd.
22nd, yeah. And like we said last episode, we're going to be doing our review, hopefully, each week that it comes out, because we've got 3 episodes to get through. Yeah, so we're going to have to figure that out, because that's going to be like watching a whole movie every week.
A whole Lord of the Rings extended edition movie. That'd be like almost 3 hours probably each time, right? It's like 45 minutes each episode.
Yeah. They said between 35 and 55 minutes for each episode, so which is how season 1 was. But that was another thing Tony talked about. That decision to do that was Disney's decision. But
I heard that, actually.
But they made that decision from the very beginning, so they made it with that in mind.
Oh, okay.
So they said they literally treated it like they made 3 Star Wars movies instead of, doing each episode as they went along.
Yeah.
Which...
So this is almost like a little trilogy.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's good.
Which goes back to my theory of, like, this is probably each of the arcs that they originally planned to be their own season.
Yeah.
Back when it was supposed to be 5 seasons, so that checks out.
It's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that makes me more excited to sit down and just get through the 3 episodes, just because it's just going to feel like we're just watching a movie.
Yeah.
Which is also nice because we haven't gotten a Star Wars movie since 2019. Like, it feels... It's going to feel good, I think, to basically get 3 different movies. So, any other thoughts on all of this?
I have always really liked their logo.
Their logo is so good.
Do you remember when it changed to this? And we talked about, I don't know when we talked about
the use of the negative space for the O is just
so cool.
Yeah, so good. The original... They still use this in some things, but I don't think it changed much. I think it was always like just a different color, and they included that symbol, which I don't really remember.
What's the one down there?
Yeah, I think it used to be
with
that.
the O using the logo. It used to be that.
Maybe it was that.
Yeah. And I was like, eh. And then it was right before the show aired. They changed it to the negative space O. And I was like, wow.
So good.
And we talked about that for a while. I don't know if that was on a podcast or not, but it's so cool.
What is that symbol?
I mean, it's similar to... I don't really know.
Like the very, very, very first rebel symbol?
Maybe.
Yeah, it looks more like a rebel symbol, but honestly, I'm not sure.
Or is it like the planet Andor's, like, not planet, oh my gosh.
It's
maybe
the Quake logo.
Yeah.
It's the what?
They said it's the Quake logo. It does look a lot like Quake.
Oh.
Yeah, this person just says it's a stylized Starbird, which is...
Okay.
That's what the Rebel Alliance is called.
Yeah. Oh, click the one next to it. The one that has like the tiers.
Oh, yeah.
This?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it explains the evolution.
The evolution of the
bit.
Starbird. Yeah, so this is the Old Republic logo. This is High Republic. This is Jedi.
Do you
the
really
Dark
like that
Times.
far right one that actually looks like a bird?
Yeah, isn't this Phoenix?
Well, that started in Rebels.
Yeah.
Yep.
Phoenix Squadron?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I have some things here I wanted to mention. They put the first 3 episodes of season 1 up on YouTube for free, which is interesting to get people,
Yeah.
to get caught up a little bit. But it's just the first 3. But then they put the full season up on Hulu as well,
Nice.
just to pull in, people that probably aren't interested in Disney Plus, but
Can't afford it.
Well, is Hulu any different?
Well, for YouTube. Free.
Yeah. But I wish they would have done the best episodes, not arguably probably the worst of the season.
Yeah.
The first 3, the slowest episodes. But that's okay. Yeah. Anything else to talk about
I don't think so.
for Andor? So, next topic is the BD droids are going to be in the Mando movie. So this was confirmed by Jon Favreau, I believe. They had like this event at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Basically, they're going to have a new ride at Galaxy's Edge that's related to the new Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Okay.
And so then they brought out these BDX droids that were like real, like robots.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kind of like waddle along. And that's going to be part of the ride. But then he said that they're going to be part of the movie as well. So I don't know if these are shots from the movie or if these are shots from the park. But like these 2 bottom ones look like they're from the movie. Just with the lighting.
Yeah.
So the ride is going to be related to the movie, but it's not going to be like a retelling of the movie. It's going to be like, he said, here it is. This isn't going to retell what happens in the movie. It's more like participating in something that's happening just off camera from what you see in the film.
That's cool.
So yeah, I think that's the best way to do something like that rather than just like retelling, like going through a ride and like seeing the events from the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of lame. But to have like a new, unique experience, I think, is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. But he said they're going to have BD droids in the movie, which I love, because I love the BD droids from the Jedi games. Like, BD-1 is one of the best droid characters that has ever been created, I think.
Yeah.
He's just like the best little boy. But I just worry that it's going to feel off, because you remember how like acrobatic and like limber and like he's super jumpy and like he can climb up on Cal's back and like hang there, and like there's no way that the real robots are going to be like that.
Right.
Like, they've shown video of them, which I could have brought up, I guess, but like they just waddle around like ducks.
Yeah.
And like that's all they do, which is impressive.
Well, maybe
in their own right, but like it's just gonna feel weird, and it's just another example of them like relying too much on like practical effects when it doesn't necessarily need to be, you know?
I was gonna say maybe like BD-1 is just like an exception to all of the other BDs, where like that droid has way more personality and like.
Yeah, I mean, you would say that about R2D2.
Yeah.
Like that R2 unit does way more than like most R2 units.
Right.
They're pretty stocky and just meh.
Yeah. But still.
I see your point. Like, it's not going to feel the same.
Yeah, it's just going to feel kind of weird. And, you know, maybe they could mix, you know, practical and digital, but.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same complaint I have with Grogu. Like,
yeah,
they rely on that puppet way too much to where it literally looks like a puppet.
Yeah.
And I think they even go out of their way to, when they do make it like CG, they make it look like a puppet.
Yes.
Rather than, like, just make it look like Yoda.
Yeah. Well, that was my complaint of the Yoda character in the originals. Just very much looks like.
Yeah, but that was back then.
Well, I know, but then like you get the whole opposite side of the spectrum in the prequels, where it's like it's very obviously never a puppet,
right?
And they don't even like make.
Well, in the original Phantom Menace, it was, but they altered that.
Yeah,
in the new ones, but yeah. But like that's what they did back then, and now they're like going the opposite direction with the whole puppet thing. To where
They're making the CGI look like a puppet.
Yeah, it's like
Just make a puppet.
either make it a puppet or make it CG.
Yes.
And like, if
I
you're
would
gonna
rather CG.
combine those two, like, I don't know. I would prefer CG
100%.
unless it's like just a close up of his face or something, like when he's making his like little talking sounds.
Mm-hmm.
If there's movement involved, it needs to be CG.
Yeah, like I think it was season 3 when he was like jumping around.
Yeah.
And like you would see his little legs, and like that was clearly CG, but like they made it look like a puppet.
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt so wrong.
Yeah, it felt off.
Yeah, because they were trying to make him jump around and stuff to look like Yoda, but it just looked so weird. So,
But I mean, it kind of goes into the whole argument these days that CG's getting worse in certain aspects.
that's because a lot of things rely too much on it. I think there's a happy medium.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is just decisions are not consistent. Like,
Well, so your original statement was that these droids aren't going to look like the CGI'd version of BD in the games.
Right.
Like the animated versions.
Yeah.
They're not CGI. I guess they're like animated,
Well,
but
it's technically the same thing, but
yes.
yeah. So, yeah, I would prefer, if they're going to have BD droids, I would just rather them be CG. Unless they're just sitting there and like doing basic movements. But like if they're going to have them like walking around and doing things, like I would want to see them like jumping around and be like,
Yeah.
I can help.
Did they do something like this with the pit droids? Didn't they make like actual like droid versions and had them like walking around, but like obviously in like the movies they're way more like acrobatic and movement and animated and like fall down and like roll
In the
and like
movies, they're CG.
but in Mando, they're real.
Are they?
I don't know. The
I
question.
don't think so.
I remember seeing something about that. But you also have that one scene where like young Anakin is like hit the nose, and like they make a scene of like an actual real pit droid like collapsing and like going into the dirt. That's not
Yeah.
CG.
I think it might be.
If it is, that is like really, really well done for that time. You can't tell that that's CG. It looks really real.
I mean, yeah, I think a lot of the CG in those movies is really well done. But because it's Jar Jar who hits it, and
Yeah.
he's a CG character.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fully CG, isn't he?
For the most part. I mean, they had Ahmed Best like
Yeah, right.
doing all the movements, but then yeah, like CG on top of that.
Oh,
It looks really like an actual like
I mean,
metal
it might
robot.
be. I can't obviously say for sure.
Yeah. I thought I remember seeing them doing something like behind the scenes filming, and like there were actual real like pit droids kind of like this, like walking, or like they did something at Disney and had them like walking around way.
I've never seen anything like that.
Hmm.
But I mean, yeah, they do that with a lot of droids, like SM-33. That was completely
Yeah.
real every single time we saw him. Which I mean, he was like an old, he was supposed to look, like not super limber. So it worked really well. But and their team that does all of the robotic stuff has come a long way, even from the sequels.
Oh, yeah,
So,
for
like,
sure.
I don't know. It's just a worry I have that it's just going to look kind of weird. Like, you're going to tell that they're like real
Mm-hmm.
and not, it's just not going to match up with what we know BD droids to be.
Yeah.
So
It might be targeting an audience that's a little bit younger. Like, I mean, a lot of the Disney parks is, I mean, even the Star Wars stuff. Like, of course, there's some people there for like the nostalgia reasons and just like avid Star Wars fans. But some of that stuff, like the animatronic rides and
for the parks, I don't care.
Oh, I thought that's what you were talking about.
No, I'm talking about the movie.
He said it's going to be in the movie as well.
I thought you said I don't want to see them in the parks walking around because it's not going to look the same as in the games.
If they're in the park like that, that's fine, because it's like that's what a park is for, is to see that kind of stuff. But in the movie, like, I wanted them, like, if they're going to use those, like, combine it with CG if they need to, make it look more like BD.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, they didn't make it look exactly like BD1. I hate this movie. It's just going to be kind of a little nitpick.
Yeah.
So, but it's still cool that they're bringing in BD droids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I love that. One of my favorite droids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Star Wars Celebration is in Japan this year. They released some of the schedules. I just wanted to point out some of the more interesting things. They're gonna talk about, the Mandalorian Grogu movie, which will be good because we really don't know all that much about it yet. So that'll be good to hear from them about the movie.
What's the light and magic?
ILM, probably.
Yeah.
Which
they're making another documentary about it.
They're making the second season.
Yeah.
That's supposed to come out before Celebration as well. So, yeah. Just showing, like, not just Star Wars stuff, but, I mean, ILM does so many things, not just Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
They do, like, pretty much every major movie these days. Like, they've done all the Marvel stuff. Like, they're the ones that do all the CGI stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see that. I think I only watched the first episode of the first season.
Oh, I've seen them all.
But I need to watch them. It looks really cool. So yeah, that's something else that I could have put in the doc, I guess. Mentioned that season 2 is coming out. They're going to have a big animated thing. Talking about, like,
what's
past,
to come.
Well, I hope. I mean, it's the 20-year anniversary of
animation.
Which I would assume that doesn't really make any sense.
Why?
What was the first thing that came out?
Probably that Cartoon Network, like,
that wasn't
animated short.
That wasn't them. That was
what's the original Clone Wars?
Yeah,
that was them.
No, it wasn't.
How could it not be? It was Star Wars.
That doesn't mean that was their studio. It was that one guy. I forget his name. Gendy something.
Gumby?
Gendy Tartakovsky.
Oh, he's the one who does Primal that I watched.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did Samurai Jack and, like...
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's the one that did
He's really good, yeah.
Like, that was a Cartoon Network studio back then. That wasn't Lucasfilm.
Oh, he did Hotel Transylvania?
That's cool. Well, maybe... When did the movie come out? The Clone Wars movie?
Well, if the
If it was
20th anniversary...
that'd be 20 years.
Yeah, that was Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
The animated movie didn't come out till 2008.
But it wouldn't necessarily be a movie, right? It could be a show.
What are you talking about?
Like, what's marking their 20 year?
That's what I'm wondering.
It's also
But
just...
it wouldn't necessarily have to be a movie that you're thinking of, right? It could be a show. Or
yeah,
like,
but what would it be? Because the show didn't start till after the movie came out. So, I'm just wondering what they consider to be their... Like, maybe that's when the studio was founded.
Yeah, it's also just Lucasfilm Animation. So they could have been animating things. That's a very broad term.
Just in their free time.
Or like,
No, I think that's
for
probably
movies.
when they started the studio.
Yeah.
And then started to plan for, Clone Wars and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. But the main thing that to come from this is a sneak peek of what's to come.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's more interested in
Yeah.
with this. So that's what I'm excited for because we need a new animated show.
Vader animation?
I kind of hope they go High Republic
Well, yes.
or Old Republic.
I think they should do all of them
Well, yes.
at one time.
But we also sort of know that they still have some kind of plan for Ventress
Yeah.
because
I never closed it.
that actress revealed that she was going to be in something else other than the Bad Batch. But it's been over a year since that, or I guess almost a year since that finished. We haven't heard anything about that. So I hope it's multiple things. I hope it's not just one, It's going to be Andor thing and an Ahsoka thing. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff.
Oh, awesome.
Conversation with Oscar Isaac will be fun. They're showing a screening of the Siege of Mandalore. That's kind of fun.
That's all.
That would be fun to watch that in a crowd of like huge Star Wars fans. Like people would go nuts. This is the other big thing. They're showing off the new strategy game that Respawn and BitReactor have been developing. So people are kind of comparing what this might be like to a game called Empire at War, which is an old game from I think 2004. Just like one of those RTS games, like top down, like Age of Empires style game, which is not a genre I am a fan of, but I'd be interested to see what it's like. I might try it if it ends up being cool.
Yeah.
But that's good. Like, at least give us one game sneak peek.
Yeah.
Like, we need something. We haven't heard much of anything.
The Fett family.
The Fett family, yeah, they always, well, I shouldn't say always, but last time they had something similar. They had Tamara Morrison and Daniel Logan together just talking about playing Boba and Jango, and
Yeah.
they're like father and son, like literally. They even admit that too, saying how since that was their dynamic in Attack of the Clones, it ended up being their dynamic personally as well.
Yeah.
So cool.
So yeah, I love that. Next topic is Star Wars Hunters is shutting down, and I'm mad. It hasn't even been a year yet.
Yeah.
Since it launched. So this is a mobile game, which is why it didn't succeed probably. Basically like a Star Wars version of Overwatch. Have you ever heard of or seen that? So it's like arena hero based shooter, whatever. But it was mobile or Nintendo Switch only. And they just announced December or November that they were going to have a beta for the PC. So that was going to bring in a whole bunch more actual gamers.
Yeah.
To help grow this game and its audience. So that was looking good. So this just comes out of nowhere. Nope, canceling the PC beta and we're shutting down the whole game by October 1st. What
So
in the
dumb.
world?
You, me, and Cody would play this.
Yeah. Yeah, since Cody got rid of, but he still has the original Xbox One that he just can't play any new games on. But he had a Nintendo Switch for his kids.
Yeah.
That he probably plays more than they do.
Yeah.
And so he was playing this because it was free to play. And he's not the biggest Star Wars fan, but he loves those types of games, you know? So, and he knew that we were Star Wars fans, so he would play with us on it, and we liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And if they had just launched it on every platform, it would have done really, really well.
Yeah.
Like put it on Xbox and PlayStation, where like the majority of gamers are. But no, just mobile. I don't get it.
I don't either.
Makes me mad.
Especially since Marvel's Rivals came out.
Yeah.
The same thing. Almost. Like it,
But
and
that's on every platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
like they
what they
should
could have done.
They
Oh.
should have done that from the very beginning.
Yeah,
and just
that
put it
became
on
one of
everything.
the most popular games this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I liked Hunters better, not just because it was Star Wars, but because it was a little simpler.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like 60 characters to choose from. You only have like 12.
Yeah.
And then they add one each season.
Yeah.
It was great. But like, I mean, it was free to play, so it had like annoying monetization stuff on it. But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you didn't have to do that and just pick it up and play. I don't get it. So,
Sad times.
yeah. I kind of hope that like maybe people will make enough noise about it to like save it, but I suspect that might be what they were hoping would happen. Because this probably isn't the decision of the developers themselves.
Oh, probably not.
But I don't know. It's just
Star Wars is like, this is bleeding money.
Yeah.
Because if it's free, it's just out there at their expense.
well, it had microtransactions. So like it had a season pass, and you could pay, and you couldn't get the newest hero or whatever you call it without either paying for the whole thing, or like if you didn't pay for the whole thing, progressing through that takes so long.
Maybe that was what people were complaining about. It was like the actual true free version is too hard, and you have to pay money to do something, even though you're advertising it as free. And then what you're paying for is not making them enough money to like keep the game up, and they're actually like paying more themselves
That's
to
valid.
run.
Yeah.
And they could have just changed it.
Yeah.
You
Just
know?
make the game cost and put it on every
Well,
platform.
just do what Marvel Rivals did.
Not free though, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no
Oh.
shot I would have paid for that.
Yeah.
But
You would have.
for Marvel, I played it once and I hated it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's too complicated and people are too sweaty.
That's every game
Well,
nowadays.
not Hunters. Hunters was fun.
Well, I mean, like every
I think
popular
that's because
game.
it was mobile, though. Like you were limited to like how much you can actually do.
On your phone.
Yeah, but it matched you with other controller players.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it is a problem with every game, but still, like, when you have, I don't know, like, Marvel Rivals was more geared towards people that are like that. Whereas I think Hunters was, like, more dumbed down a little bit and more simple to make it a little more fair for everybody.
Yeah.
So I just preferred it over that. But I don't know. Like they could have just made the progression a little easier to get through on the free tier. But I don't know.
Definitely doesn't
only-
make sense.
I only got like 3 of, because you also had to progress. That was the other thing is Marvel Rivals, you get all of the heroes right out the gate. On Hunters, you only started with like 3 or 4.
Yeah. You get each type. One of each type.
Yeah,
to
so you
start.
get like the healer, the tank, the damage or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you would have to progress another track of progression to unlock each of the other heroes. And I only unlocked like 2 or 3.
I mean,
We
that
played
was
it
kind of like,
quite a lot.
dang it.
Battlefront?
Yes, thank you. Where you only have like, I think you start with the 3. You get like the regular trooper, the sniper, and then maybe.
That's how it originally was.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
The new one?
No,
the
I'm
new
talking
one?
about like Battlefront 2
Oh.
on like the original PlayStation. You only started with like 1 or 2, and then you had to progress through the game and like unlock different things to
No.
get the. Yeah,
That's a different progression. That was like in game, like you get a certain amount of kills or a certain amount of score, and then you could play as whatever character they allowed you to play in the map. But you didn't have like a collection of characters to choose from to play as whenever you wanted to.
I thought once you had them unlocked, the next like battle or planet that you went to do, then it was like you could start from there and have that one.
No. They didn't have any progression in that game. But in the new Battlefront, they did. And the big controversy with that when it first came out was it was a $60 game, but then you could only, it was the same thing, but you could only have a certain amount of heroes and you had to progress or pay to unlock the ones that you would actually want. So like, which is how so many games are, and I'm still confused of why that ended up being a big deal for that game. I think certain people in the media had never played a game in the last 10 years, and they picked that one up and like, this is egregious. Like, that's what we've been saying for 10 years.
Yeah.
But they were like, I wanted to play as Darth Vader. Why can't I play as Darth Vader? I don't want to pay $20. I don't want to spend every night playing for 3 hours,
Yeah.
to eventually unlock it after a month.
Yeah, because
Like-
then by that point you're
You're tired of the game.
you're tired of the game.
Yeah.
But then you finally get what you've wanted, and you're like,
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. Which, so after that whole backlash, they changed it so you could have all of them, from the get-go. But with Hunters, they did that. But it's a free-to-play game.
Yeah.
So people were more okay with it, So anyways,
Yeah, sad.
big bummer. Because it wasn't like the greatest game of all time, but like it was free-to-play. It was a Star Wars like shooter game.
On your phone, you could just play it
On
when
your
you're bored.
phone. Yeah, like it was fine. I just wish that it would have come to consoles. Whatever. I hope they are taking whatever went wrong with it and like learning from it and then making something new that is better.
Yeah.
And is on all platforms. So anyways, real quick, the next topic is the Old Republic update. It came out. It's kind of a minor update. They started a new season. Speaking of more progression to unlock things. Yeah. We've done a few of the seasons, but it takes so long.
Months.
And you're just kind of grinding months to get through this. I mean, that's average for most season pass, not season pass, but whatever. I guess it is like season pass thing.
Yeah.
Battle pass, whatever you want to call it. And the rewards are cool.
Yeah.
This
usually.
season, the last reward is a hairstyle, which they've never done before. But it's mostly like cosmetic stuff. None of it's calling to me though. I don't care about the hairstyle.
I was gonna say, you're playing for a month to get hair?
Yeah.
More than a month. Months.
That seems
The outfits don't look that great either.
Yeah, the outfits, I mean, they're cool, but they're not worth grinding for.
No.
There was only that one season that had like a cool Jedi the cool Jedi outfits that you wear or you used to.
Yeah, I wore it for years.
That was the only one so far that's been worth grinding for.
Yeah.
what is worth grinding for?
What do you mean? I just said a cool Jedi robe.
Or a lightsaber.
But most of the lightsabers they put in there are garbage too. They look so bad in this season. Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun. Like if it is something you want to grind for, it is fun to get on. Like we would get on together and like do the different challenges that would progress it. So it would get us on playing, and it was fun until like 2 months later. It'd be like, okay, I gotta get on before the thing resets this week. Let's get through these stupid challenges, play the stupid flashpoints over again.
Just for the stupid lightsaber that doesn't even look good.
Well, no, I'm saying for the ones that we would like.
Oh, yeah, the ones that were worth grinding for.
Yeah.
As you were saying.
You have to go through a bunch of annoying stuff to get
Yeah.
to it.
And it wouldn't be as bad if they switched it up more.
Yeah,
But
the rotation of those.
It only
challenges.
rotated between like 3 different things
Yeah, like
for each thing. So like
so old.
you'd play the same 3 to 4 flashpoints and like the same types of challenges.
That's how I felt about Hogwarts Legacy. Every challenge was just like almost exactly the same, just in a different area of the map, or like slightly different, but you're just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. It's like that, but it's literally the same instead of just similar. Like they would have a list of challenges that you could do to progress it. And then like the next week, it always reset on Tuesday and it would have a different list of challenges. So, okay, it's different than last week, but then the next week is like, maybe it'll go back to the same list from the week before. So now you're doing the exact same challenges you did from the week before.
Yeah. It's like
for months.
go
just
do
to progress
these
this.
6 missions on Coruscant.
Or get 50 kills with your companion set to a healer. So it's just like, yeah, tedious stuff. And it was fun for like a month. And then after that, you're like, wow, I'm tired of it. So yeah, it's never worth doing unless you want to unlock the stuff that's in it. But yeah, more excitingly is the Spring Abundance event is live, which we missed last year.
Well, we always said we'll hop on and do it, and now it's been a year and it's back again.
Yeah, because it's only there for a month.
Yeah, it's there for the spring.
Yeah, maybe 6 weeks or whatever. But yeah, last year it was new, so we were planning on doing it. But what were we doing? Because we would get on. Were we like playing new characters or something?
Yeah, as per usual.
Yeah.
Anyways,
At some point, we need to have him make his own character and like play through the first planet or whatever.
yeah,
It's addicting, like creating a new character and then playing through the like intro story. And then by chapter 2, you're like burnt out.
Yeah.
For us, if it's your first time, you wouldn't get burnt out. But I think it would be fun to do that on the podcast. Have
So
him
there's
do that.
7 years of, and this is the 6th chapter of the 7th year, or how does that number system work?
The game came out in 2012, so it's been out for 13 years. They're just the major updates. Like this is the 7th expansion update, I guess you could say.
yeah.
And then every number after that is just like minor updates after that. Yeah, they've been on 7 for
3-4 years.
I think 4 years now. I guess it would be 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. The older it gets, like the less money they have to, make new content. So they have been drip feeding content for a long time now. Where like they have this big story, but then they only give you like a very small portion of it at a time.
Yeah, it'd be like if it was a TV show. It'd be like an episode every year.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad. And sometimes, and during the strike right now, that's why this is such a small update. They have a story ready. They just don't have the voice actors voicing it yet because of the strike. So I think they're just waiting on that to end so they can get the story out. Because we haven't had new story since, I don't know, summer, I think. Yeah.
Dang.
Because they teased the story last stream, not this past stream, but the stream before.
Yeah.
But they said it's delayed because of it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's that. So we want to get into Vader versus Maul, or do we want to play a game? Or both?
I think the Vader versus Maul will be pretty quick.
Okay, so this topic is something we haven't done yet, but I want to do like every so often. It's just pulling out some different characters to pit against each other.
That never did.
Yeah, that never did. Allegedly. Allegedly. So we're doing Darth Vader versus Darth Maul. And so for you comic fans or Legends hardcore fans, you know that they did face off in the Legends comics way back when.
So don't spoil it. Just kidding.
So we are aware that that is a thing, but since it's not canon, it didn't actually happen in canon. So we're going to talk through it anyways, but then I'll show some of the comics images and show how that played out in Legends and how I disagree with how that happened. But so let's try to decide, are we going to do like each character at their peak?
Yeah,
power?
I think you have to do it that way.
So what do you think is Vader's peak?
Like he has a suit?
Yeah.
That Vader?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he was Vader without the suit for like a day.
Yeah. Well,
that might be his peak.
I would say that is his peak.
I would agree, but yeah, let's go with post dismemberment Vader.
PD.
One PD.
I would say his peak in the suit would probably be around the time that Obi-Wan was aired, like that time period.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Because you gotta imagine, like, right after he gets the suit, he has to spend a little bit of time getting used to it.
Absolutely.
And like learning how to fight with it. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think if you get into how he is in the original trilogy, he's a little bit older, less mobile, kind of like rigid with his like movements, even while fighting.
He probably hasn't even like fought
in a while.
Well, yeah. You could say that.
I mean, besides Luke, but like Luke's.
Well, no, I was just saying, like, other than Luke. He probably actually did fight a lot of people.
Like Jedi?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was right before that where he is finishing up his extermination journeys.
Yes.
Exterminator Vader.
Exterminator.
Exterminator.
But like in 5 and 6, like
yeah,
I don't think
he looks like an old man fighting.
Yeah,
while
and
fighting.
He's more.
I mean, back then he was supposed to be
yeah
much older than he actually is.
Yeah, he's
same with Obi-Wan.
His role in those movies is not Sith Lord. Like he is project manager. Like
of what?
The Empire. Like he's not fighting people.
That's true.
He's not in the field.
Yeah, like he's got a lot of people doing things for him at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that was the point of the Inquisitors.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I'm thinking of like Jedi Survivor when he like that's after the Inquisitors were killed off. And so then
Yeah, I'd say that's his prime right there.
Yeah.
when he fights Seer.
Yeah. That fight scene, he looks like prime if we're talking combat, like prime combat Vader.
Yeah.
It's good.
Which is around the time of the Obi-Wan show anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's
so we'll just say like is that 5 years after Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
So he's got like 5 years of like getting used to the suit. And just getting used to using the dark side too, I think, is a big part of it. And like he probably had some. I mean, we've seen in the comics that he's had like training with Palpatine.
Do you use the dark side, or does the dark side use you?
Ooh, that's a good point. That is literally. Well, no, I think it's the opposite. If you're a Jedi, the Force uses you. But if you're a Sith or a dark side user, you use the Force. And it goes back to the Old Republic when the Sith would say, may the Force serve you well.
Yes.
Rather than may the Force be with you.
Yeah.
The Sith would always say that. Like Lana says that all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I love that difference. So, I mean, that's a good thing that we could go on a whole topic of that probably.
So peak Maul.
Yeah. Would it be Phantom Menace before he gets cut in half, or would his cybernetics make him more powerful?
I'd say Clone Wars Maul is for sure peak, just because
he's learned more now.
Yeah, in the Phantom Menace, he hadn't, like, he's fought people, but like he revealed the Sith that way in that movie. You know, like he wasn't like fighting Jedi all the time.
Right.
Maybe once in a great while, but like secretly, he had to kill them. So,
yeah,
I'd say Clone Wars Maul is his peak combat era.
So, like, when he fights Ahsoka in the Siege of Mandalore.
Yeah.
One of the best duels. Yeah. Okay. So
that's the spinoff I want. I want a series.
Ooh.
Like a Maul origin.
A young Maul.
Yeah. There's a great book. A couple great books of that. I think I have one of them.
Honestly, I wish that was the Acolyte show.
Was more him
being the Acolyte?
Yeah.
But he was apprentice already.
Well, like back baby Maul.
Baby Maul? I mean, we kind of saw.
Can you imagine giving birth to the spikes?
Yeah, are Zabrak born?
Surely not.
With the spikes on their heads?
Also, assuming they give birth normally. I don't know.
They hatch from eggs.
What else has spikes that like probably grow as they grow? Deer? Like
deer,
Baby deer aren't born.
Yeah,
actually,
so
most animals are not born with horns.
No.
I don't get those like through,
I don't think any are.
Like their puberty stages of the animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. For that reason.
They born with
unless they're hatched from eggs. Like, I'm thinking of reptiles that have spikes, which would be like a dinosaur. I'm trying to think of what real reptile.
There's a few like lizards
that have spikes.
Like chameleon.
Do they have spikes?
Some chameleons have horns.
Yeah.
Or like the great horned toad.
Horny toad.
Yeah.
Great horned toad.
Isn't that what it's called?
I don't
know.
it
is.
Or am I thinking of great horned owl?
That's a thing too. Yeah, there's a I don't think it's great horny toad. But
it's probably just horny toad.
I think it's just horny toad.
Anyways,
okay, so Clone Wars Maul versus Vader 5 years after.
Okay. So Maul's whole thing is like he's just so full of rage that like he's scary. Yeah, like he's scary to fight.
And okay, here is my theory on like just the combat part of it. I think Maul is a equal or maybe slightly better swordsman and like just like acrobatics and like fighting than Anakin ever was. Although Anakin was really good.
Yeah, but that was like Maul's thing.
Yes.
Was like he was.
Yeah. So I think he might have just a little bit of the upper hand of just like the actual like dueling part of it.
Yeah.
However,
plus the double bladed helps with that.
Yeah. However, I think Vader shuts this down pretty quickly with the use of the Force.
Yeah. I agree.
Which is kind of an unfair fight because Vader is just so OP in that category. I mean, if you're like rating like he's like a 99 in this.
Yeah. And like if you think about Maul and his training, he never made it past the apprentice stage.
True.
And so he never got powerful enough to go up against Palpatine effectively. And when Palpatine comes to shut him and Savage down, like he wipes the floor with them.
Yeah.
So like Maul never quite got to his peak that he could have been as a Sith if he stuck with Palpatine, you know?
Oh, could you imagine though if he did?
Yeah. He would be
one of the best.
Yeah.
If not the best. Like,
yeah.
He probably could have killed Palpatine.
Yeah.
He probably would have found a way to do it. Especially knowing what he knows. Like, he probably could have found Anakin.
It'd be a very interesting alternate timeline to think about
him not dying in Phantom Menace.
Him not dying, and like I know like the whole like Star Wars plot is about Anakin,
right?
Like he's the whole reason the story exists in the first place. But like,
right? But if he
like, let's pretend that like Maul killed Anakin on Tatooine, like. I don't know. Like something happened and he actually killed the kid.
Yeah, he just runs him over on that scene.
And like head just bobbed off. Or like he just like bests Qui-Gon there in the sand. Like not kills him, but just like, I don't know. And then like kills the kid.
Yeah.
Like Maul would have been in Anakin's shoes as becoming his apprentice and becoming like the powerful one and like the Sith Lord.
I think it would have gone differently though. I don't think Maul was there to kill Anakin.
No, he had no idea about Anakin.
That's what I'm saying, like accidentally kills the kid.
Oh.
Not
accidentally
that he
runs him over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he tried to.
I still think he knows about Anakin, though.
I don't think so.
What do you mean?
Because once they're leaving Tatooine, doesn't word get to Palpatine that Anakin is on midichlorian count?
I mean...
Well, the rumor is that Palpatine...
Yes.
Okay.
So,
no.
I think... No, but like, I still think... Maul knows like about Anakin, the existence of Anakin
in that moment.
Yes.
Why would he?
Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon didn't even know.
Yeah. Unless you subscribe to that theory of Palpatine creating Anakin, which isn't canon.
I think
It's just a fan theory.
in my head canon, I think
Here we go.
I think Palpatine accidentally playing with the Force, or Plagueis really, playing with the Force accidentally creates Anakin. So therefore, I think Maul knows about that creation. Now, does he know specifically that it's Anakin in that moment? Maybe not.
I feel like him as the mastermind behind so much would not have revealed that to his apprentice.
Mm-mm. But
Because he did not want any of that to get out. I mean, this was like a decade-long predetermined thing. If going along with your theory.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think he would share that with an apprentice.
Unless he uses that to, like, kill Plagueis.
But going by what you're saying, like the fan theory, not necessarily that Palpatine created him on purpose, but like Plagueis with Palpatine were doing things that unbalanced the Force. So then the Force created Anakin in Shmi.
Yeah.
He wouldn't know. He still wouldn't know about that.
Yeah.
True.
So I really don't think that he knew, and the only reason that he became interested in him was because he sensed the midichlorian count probably when he met him. But also he was hearing the Jedi saying like, oh, this is the chosen one. And
that's right.
That piqued his interest probably.
Yeah.
In
later, though.
Yeah, later.
Not while on Tatooine.
Yeah. And even with all of that, he probably wouldn't have even mentioned it to Maul.
Yeah.
Until much later. When he was like, sure. And he was like, okay, so here's the plan.
Yeah, because if he did know that on Tatooine, he wouldn't have attempted to run him over.
Yeah.
Because that would have been Palpatine's...
Fair. Because like my thinking was, if he did know that, he would have tried to kill Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and take Anakin to be his apprentice.
Which...
To then kill Palpatine.
To your theory, like, that could have been his... plan.
Yeah,
while he was there.
Yeah,
like, I need this kid. You're not allowed to take him.
Yeah, like if he had overheard Qui-Gon.
That's true.
Because he had did. Like probe droids like listening in on him. Like he could have overheard him say like, "Oh, this kid's like really high midichlorians and is really powerful in the Force."
Yeah, because that would have been their. I don't want to say like style, but like, so the Jedi had like pretty strict rules of like ages of bringing into.
Yeah.
And like he was already past that. So that would have been a perfect candidate for like the Sith to bring in.
Yeah.
Like a raw, Force sensitive child.
Yeah.
That's very, very
raw.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, like raw Force abilities. Like has never had any training.
Yeah, just naturally super powerful. Yeah.
So
I don't know how we got on this, but
I mean,
well, yeah, I think Vader wins this.
Yeah, I do think that. I mean, obviously, not counting like plot reasons. Like obviously, like Vader would have to win if this ever happened. Which we'll get into the Legends comic here soon. But I just think like if Maul doesn't have a reason to be fighting, to use all of his rage, I think he's going to be handicapped. Because that's kind of... And that goes with the dark side in general, but like...
It's his fuel.
That's his fuel of doing anything. Like, that's the only reason he was able to live after being cut in half was because he had the rage fueling him to kill Obi-Wan to get revenge. And...
Here's my question. I'm going to switch the verses here. If we do Siege of Mandalore...
You're going to say, let's do Maul versus Vader instead of Vader versus Maul.
No, if we do Maul in Siege of Mandalore and his plan worked out where he was trying to lure Anakin there, if that actually happened and it was Maul versus Anakin, Clone Wars Anakin versus Clone Wars Maul. Who would win that?
I think Anakin would still, because it's the same power, you know.
Different power. Same power from Maul, yeah.
No, I meant with Anakin. Like, yeah, he's not always tapping into the dark side, but sometimes.
The thing with Maul is...
But I think that would come down to if Maul ended up threatening something that Anakin didn't want to lose. That's where Anakin's fuel comes from.
Yeah.
Not Vader's, but Anakin's. So if, like, he was threatening Ahsoka or Padme or, like, anybody that he cared about.
Or Obi-Wan.
Yeah, like anything.
At that moment, yeah.
Anakin would have torn Maul to shreds.
Yeah. I just go back to in Revenge of the Sith, where Count Dooku, when they fight, he goes, I forget what he says. It's like, you're not using your aggression or whatever. Then he instantly starts being more aggressive.
Mm.
You remember that?
Say that again.
So Dooku taunts Anakin and says, like, you're not using your aggression.
In Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking
Oh,
of
yeah,
Clone
yeah.
Wars.
And then he just instantly
Yeah.
turns a switch and just, like, starts actually fighting
Yeah,
him.
he says you have hate and you have anger, but you don't use them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see on Dooku's face.
It's like, oh, crap.
What have I done?
I think that same thing would happen with Maul, where, like, Maul's obviously already using that, but Anakin doesn't fight with that naturally until someone says something like that.
Oh,
And then
Yeah, or
he
something
still
else,
is aggressive.
or something else triggers it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think anytime we ever see like Anakin fighting or dueling or doing really much of anything in any of the Clone Wars, I think he is fighting with like a 30 to 40% like
oh, yeah.
effort.
Yeah.
And there's a few moments or like a few fights where like you can see he turns it up, and like that's one of them. There's a few scenes in like Clone Wars that he does it too.
Yeah.
Not the movie, like the series.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh, he has like 4 more gears after that he can like get up to. And
Which I think could be said for anybody. I mean, you see that with Obi-Wan as well. He just doesn't tap into rage.
yes.
But yeah, Anakin does. Maybe not rage, but the dark side. Anger.
Gets right.
I don't
Well,
think
maybe
so.
not
rage and
Maul
anger are
rage,
different,
but,
yeah.
like,
Maul is all rage.
it's definitely
Yeah.
dark side.
I think Anakin's is more emotion, anger, and fear.
Yeah, it's fear of loss.
Yeah, it's always fear of loss.
Yeah. Whereas Maul is more of like a fear of vengeance,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which eventually Anakin does get to
Oh, yeah.
with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Because that whole series and what we know just about Vader is like coming back to hunt down Obi-Wan.
The other thing with Anakin is that he is always jealous that Obi-Wan won against Maul back in the day. And so he always wanted to do that same thing, where if he had that chance, I think he would almost mess it up, just like he does with fighting Obi-Wan. I don't know.
Does he ever say that he's jealous of Obi-Wan?
Maul?
No, Anakin.
Anakin.
For that fight? I mean, Anakin was 9 when that happened.
And didn't
But-
see it.
And,
Well, okay, maybe I'm
Well,
going
yeah.
off of like the Revenge of the Sith book again, because it talks about that, his thoughts about like
him being jealous.
because Obi-Wan and him talk about it, or they say they talk about it a lot, and Anakin thinks about like how he could have done it as well, like Obi-Wan's not cool for that, like he could have done it too.
I don't know if I agree with that.
But
I don't know if he, at least in my mind, wouldn't be jealous of Obi-Wan, but there are many times in Revenge of the Sith that he tells people, and I think he tells Obi-Wan this too, but like tells Padme and like C-3PO, I think, that they're, I don't know, like something about him not becoming like a master,
yeah.
where he feels like slighted, and
Yeah.
I don't think he ever uses the word jealous though.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Jealousy. It's more of like, I don't know.
Being treated unfair.
Well, there's that too, but I think that's different.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what like the single word emotion would be.
But if he is jealous, it's not necessarily that Obi-Wan killed Maul, but just that Obi-Wan was the one to kill I hate that I have to do that. A Sith Lord. Like, he was the first one to kill a Sith in like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
That they knew of. So maybe like I could see him being jealous of that. But
yeah.
I still don't know if I would see him. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like something he would say.
Here's the reason that I even think that Maul versus Anakin like wouldn't be close, just as I don't think like Maul versus Vader would ever be close. Maul has lost multiple fights.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's kind of his thing.
yeah. And Anakin canon has really only lost 2.
Yeah.
Like he lost the first fight with Dooku, and then he lost the fight with Obi-Wan twice.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that. So that's 3 times.
So well, yeah, 2 people, but
yeah,
First
three fights.
First fight with Dooku.
he got his arms chopped off.
Yeah, his arm got cut off.
Oh, I was thinking Revenge of the Sith. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was the second fight in which he won.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
but yeah, Maul just gets beat down so many times. Yeah.
So if you think about all the people that Anakin / Vader have ever fought, except for
Those two. Yeah, he
Yeah,
wiped
unless
the
there's some
floor.
like minor thing that happens in Clone Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people have like escaped,
Yeah.
like
That doesn't count.
little things,
Like
but
Asajj
like
has multiple times.
yeah,
Yeah.
or like Cal Kestis does get away and like
Yeah.
yeah. That's a cool verses though, because those are like both in like the top 5 of like really good fighters, and the gap between like 1 and I don't know where you probably wouldn't put him like 2, maybe like 4 or 5. So the gap between
Definitely
like
top 5.
1 and 4 and 5 is just
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this happened in a Legends comic. I'll bring up some of the things here. So there's a couple things that I don't like about this, but there's a couple things that I do that do make sense. So I'm going to bring up this that shows some of these things. So the premise of this comic is basically there's this dark side cult that resurrects Maul with Sith alchemy. And their reasoning is because they don't think Vader is tainted by his Jedi upbringing, and they don't think that he deserves or is powerful enough to become a true Sith Lord because of that. So then they resurrect Maul because they think Maul is just going to be naturally more powerful than Vader and deserves to be the apprentice to Palpatine and eventually overthrow him and be like the Dark Lord of the Sith. Which I do like that. That's kind of cool. And I don't know if it says this in the comic, but I think it kind of implies that Vader suspects that Palpatine is the one that orchestrates this to test Vader.
Yeah.
Which I do also like.
I think he does that
Can
multiple
you
times.
In canon.
zoom just a little bit further to the actual... No, zoom in.
Oh, no, I was going to the more interesting ones, yeah. So yeah, they basically... This is like right before A New Hope. And so Vader gets like a transmission or something like that saying that rebels they have the Death Star plans or something at this planet, and it ends up being a trap. So throughout this whole fight, I think it's interesting that Maul calls Vader, like he refers to him as a Jedi. Like the whole time. He like calls him Jedi a lot. You land with grace, Jedi. And this is apparently like a really long battle. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but basically the entire time, like Maul is like handing it to Vader, like destroying him, and basically beats him by the end of it. And the only reason. And it's a volcano planet, which is interesting. The only reason that Vader wins this, his lightsaber was dropped during that, and then Maul's standing over him and about to like either stab him or slice him or whatever. And then Vader takes his lightsaber and stabs himself and stabs Maul through him. So he kills him.
That's cool.
It's cool. But I also don't think that it would have been that close. You know?
I mean...
Especially
at this time period?
No.
Like, I'm thinking...
This is like Rogue One time period.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know. This was part of like my thinking is like, I think the actual like saber combat part, like Maul would be winning.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, and this
Right.
whole comic, there's a lot of like acrobatics. They're moving a lot, and I think Maul just has like the best advantage in a lot of that stuff. So, like, I like that they kind of show that Vader is kind of like getting his butt handed to him in those areas.
But I think Vader would have used the Force a lot more than that to get the upper hand, and he just doesn't really use it that much.
Yeah.
So then he ultimately does get defeated, like he was beat.
Yeah.
On the left side there.
Yeah.
And the only reason he won is because of his cybernetics. Not like, I mean, I guess he could have still stabbed himself if he didn't have cybernetics, but that was the reason why he did that. Which is an advantage and a disadvantage. Like, if his mask gets sliced, then he can't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, he can do something like that. Like, stab through his own stomach to stab his attacker.
He's like, I've been cut up and sliced so much, who cares at this point?
Probably doesn't even have feeling in that area. Oh, he doesn't even have a stomach, does he?
That's what I'm saying.
Why wouldn't he?
I mean, he can't really eat. They probably removed it. Like, he still has a body.
I mean, he might still eat, just not. He probably can't taste.
Yeah, very much so. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But either way, like,
yeah,
if he gets stabbed like that, like, his cybernetics can probably, like, sustain him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting, and there's, like, a lot of things that I do like about it. But I don't think it would have been that close.
Yeah.
Like, Vader would have... He would have known that he was at a disadvantage with lightsaber combat. So he would have used the Force more, I think.
Yeah.
But...
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's that. That's not canon, obviously. I think this comic came out in, like, 2012 or something like that. Right before the new canon took over. But even then, like, it didn't make sense really that much back then either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to resurrect Maul, but like have to go find his body somewhere, wherever that was.
Yeah, like, he doesn't, like, this was after the Clone Wars. So, like, he shouldn't have had his legs.
Yeah.
So, like, it just didn't make sense. Unless 2012 isn't when this came out. But that's the date that I saw when I looked it up. So, I don't know. So that's that. You are listening to Galaxy Bound Podcast. We do monthly episodes talking about all things Star Wars. We'd greatly appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe or follow us on whatever platform you are watching or listening from. It helps us grow and reach more people. You can follow us on social media on basically every platform out there at Galaxy Bound TV, or check us out at our website at galaxybound.tv for links to them all. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Ah, man.
Franz Ferdinand, man.
I love my history.
World War I just gets me going.